Hi everyone, Phil at Marine Rescue Hawkesbury Tips and Tricks. I'm going to cover a topic that is more suitable for those with larger vessels or commercial vessels where you're surrounded with a glass cabin, potentially a glass entry door like what's behind me. In the event of something like a fire back there, our exit may be actually blocked. We've designed Hawkesbury 3.0 here with these very large side windows on each side so that it provides us with two other exit opportunities in such an event that we can't get out the aft of the vessel. And there are some hatches up front as well that we can potentially utilise. I want to cover a little bit of maybe the engineering side of glass, and then some of the tools that we have that will help us to get out of such a situation. So in your homes, as an example, you've got plate glass, and plate glass, when you break it, it produces very sharp, large shards of glass, and of course that's a real cut hazard if you try and actually get out of there, out of a window, or just the fact that it's sitting in the frame and it provides you with a very dangerous situation when you're trying to get out of a boat or out of a home. So many vessels and motor vehicles, at least the side and rear window, are made with what's called toughened glass, or it's also known as safety glass, and you'll realise that in a moment. So this particular glass, where it's toughened, it has a little logo of the manufacturer, which is printed usually in the corner of the glass, and this one in particular says Grade A TF. Grade A is a toughened glass or a safety glass. So the way that you make this is that you rapidly heat the glass and cool the glass, and it creates a very, very high internal stress. And when that glass ultimately breaks, it breaks into thousands of tiny pieces of glass, which represent a much, much lower injury hazard, hence the term safety glass. So unless it's got these markings on there, you can't assume so. If you're not sure, you can always consult with your vessel manufacturer as to what sort of glass that you might have on the vessel. The other way you might be able to see safety glass, if you're wearing a pair of glasses like I am, which are polarizing, and in certain lights and angles, you'll actually see rainbow blooms in the glass. It's probably something that you'll notice in motor vehicles in the sun, and you'll see all of these circular rainbow blooms in the back window. Polarizing glasses actually reveal internal stresses in glass, and all of those little spots on that glass are where the air jets cooled the glass rapidly. This glass, through my glasses right now, I can actually see some of those blooms in the glass. So with that very high tensile stress in that glass is to an advantage when we want to break it. So on our vessel here, we have a glass hammer, and this glass hammer has a couple of features. It's got two hardened points, and it's also got a webbing cutter. You can cut in a car, a seatbelt. On a boat, it might be a life jacket that you might need to remove for some reason. And there are also other devices like a keyring type device like this one. This one's made by Rescue Me, which also has a belt cutter, webbing cutter, has a hardened point. However, the actual point which fires onto a piece of glass to break it is actually at this black end, which is a spring-loaded pin. And when you press it far enough, the pin hits the glass. So the best way to actually break the glass, so it would seem obvious that, hey, just hit the glass. And I think in most circumstances that's what you do, but a lot of glass is actually adhered to the frame, and the glass in the centre tends to drum, and you might need a second hit, for example, to break it. The best place to hit glass to break it is actually in one of the corners. It will break much faster. Not that the shock wave through glass is slow, because just in round figures for toughened glass, you're probably talking about 2,000 metres per second in terms of that shock wave moving through the glass when you hit the corner of it. So it's going to break almost instantly. Well, it's virtually instantly. Now, there are a couple of cautions. So on vessels, you do have things that are not glass, that look like glass. Take, for example, our hatch, which is made of a material called PMMA, better known as acrylic. If you hit that with a glass hammer, you're probably going to ding it or crack it or maybe even scratch it. It will not break like toughened glass, so you need to be wary of that. Those hatches are typically designed to open right up for you to get out. And again, if you're not sure, is just consult with your manufacturer and or look at the logo in a corner of glass, which will tell you quite quickly. If you don't understand the codes, you can usually Google those from a good reference to see what those codes that you stand for. But grade A is toughened or safety glass, so we know that these glass cabins around us will break, but the hatches won't because they're plastic. The only other caution would be tinted film on glass. The toughened glass will still break in lots of pieces, but the film will hold those pieces together. So it won't reveal an opening instantly. You'll probably have to kick it or cut it or tear the tint film to create that opening. But just be wary of that. If you tint your windows and you want to use a glass hammer, it won't break instantly. You'll have to do a little bit more in order to get out. So I hope, Philly, you enjoyed that tips and tricks for today. Thanks for all those messages we get on the others we've done. I mean, that only motivates us to just do more of these videos. And as mentioned before, when you head on out, either log on to a Marine Rescue's app, and when you come back in, log off. You can also do that over VHF. Thanks, everyone.